warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I can see the restlessness in the hall. Yang berhormat Datuk Seri Muhammad Rizwan Yusof, Minister of Entrepreneur Development. Yang berbahagia Datuk Wan Suraya Wan Muhammad Radzi, Secretary General of Ministry of Entrepreneur Development. And ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador, the press and everybody else. Now, before you come to this conference, how many of you know Bank Rakyat? Sure, the minister knows Bank Rakyat. And how many of you knows there's this beautiful room in Bank Rakyat? It's called Tun Razak Hall. Thank you. How many of you all know that this is the first bank 3 years ago that has established an integrity department manned by an MACC official? And thank you. So that is the reason why we are organizing this integrity conference, because we would want to champion integrity from standpoint of we are actually the first amongst all the financial institutions in this country to have established an integrity department. My job for the next 15 minutes is to give a very quick summary of the forum today. Before I give the summary, I just want you all to know that I just want you all to know two things. Number one, this is an inaugural Bank Rakyat Integrity Forum 2020. And the word inaugural means it's a first time. It is our intention, by virtue that we are the first bank in this country to be establishing an integrity department run by MACC, it is our intention to have it on an annual basis, inshallah. Tepuklah sikit. Thank you. And also, it's my intention while I stand here to share the forum summary for today. I'll start with the first panel this morning. I believe that the first panel shared some very important takeaways for setting the stage, Malaysia in 2030. The panel was talking about vision, governance, ethics, and sustainability model of government-linked businesses. Firstly, there was the definition of the GLCs and the GLICs that need to be clearly defined to manage public expectations effectively and allowing the business to do its job to serve based on the public interest. And I recall the EPF CEO said EPF is not a GLC. So take note of that. Now, second, the rapid expansion of statutory bodies have made them involved in the areas that are not familiar, which have made them lose oversight and control, for instance, on the operation of subsidiaries. Currently, there is no legal weight on the act of the statutory body. That was the resolution from the first panel. The other resolution is on government and governance. The involvement of government in the business may need to be clearly defined as to allow them to play their role to govern rather than running businesses. Power of the golden share, is it still acceptable? We discussed about it just now. Is it relevant today, given that we have sufficient regulation, policies, and framework? It was also asked by the press just now. This is something that we need to be extensively discussed to strike the balance and to ensure sustainability. One size fits all regulations was discussed in the first panel, and there was a revisit and a proper guide that meets specific business needs according to their business objectives to drive growth effectively by allocating the right fit leaders. So there was a talk on leadership, and there was a talk about enhancement on the current regulation in serious need to be revamped, looking into the national interest. So they should focus on value creation instead of value extraction. I remember Prof. Joma was introducing the word value extraction, and that is actually a risk, a legacy risk for the country. There was also mention of regulatory and real institutional reform, which has to be timely, as role of regulators need to be assessed on as how much is it needed, or greater improvement in corporate governance and improved transparency. Regulators need to understand their role and functions in the context of the business environment and industry needs. Lastly, that panel was talking about the current environment today that has tremendously changed. They talk about the new generation Y and Z that would like to take part in decision making just by using their phone, which is actually their voice. There will reach public discussion that is encouraging everybody to establish better public trust. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the session on the conversation with the Prime Minister, the second session, the main challenges that he highlighted was the current government is facing on rebuilding the country and adapt to changes quickly is quite a challenge because of the populous country. He mentioned there's a 32 million population. It's a lot more larger than he was when he was the Prime Minister in 1990s. Tun Mahathir then defined New Malaysia as a well-governed Malaysia that would be able to respond to the changing environment, particularly in technological advancement. And he talked about intelligence leadership. And he also talked about Malaysia today would need to be able to adapt and the use of new technology, artificial intelligence and digitalization to be able to compete in the changing world. The new Malaysia, he said, need to adapt with changes by managing resources and using the abundance of data intelligently to promote modernization and also to encourage proper leadership towards the next decade. He also mentioned the quality of governance today is to move to an extent and has done quite well despite the short time and less experienced people. And to answer the government's role in business, Yang Amat Berhormat Tun Dr. Mahathir did share with us that government involvement may necessary to reduce income disparity and avoid confrontation and promote stability in line with the shared prosperity vision. And he then said the new Malaysia also should promote transparency and eradicate corruption through good value system. Ladies and gentlemen, in the second panel session, it discussed the issues and challenges surrounding the new economic model of shared prosperity for businesses in Malaysia from perspective of governance and sustainability. From the discussion, we understand that inequality is a good issue, is a global issue, and the focal focus is governance. We are on the right track, and moving towards shared prosperity is essential as Malaysia moves towards high-income country. To achieve equal income distribution, strong coordination between government and private sector, transparency and openness in getting feedback from citizens, redefine their roles and involvement in private sector. This is catching up with technology and talent management. As one of the panelists shared and echoed with what Tun Mahathir has shared in the morning, value system is necessary to create inclusivity. Malaysia has all the laws in place and it is not necessary to reinvent the wheel. The effective enforcement need to be at par to ensure shared prosperity is fair. There was also mention about vocational and technical group of society that need to be part of the enabler and provide the same opportunity to be part of the growth. Ladies and gentlemen, as Malaysia continued to shift towards strengthening its political stability, enhancing the nation's prosperity, and ensuring Malaysian unity while celebrating ethnic and cultural diversity as the foundation of the new Malaysia, reforms are needed to fix the issues in poor governance. We then listened to a very engaging presentation through a TED Talk during the Governance Gone Wrong. Datuk Emeritus Professor Dr. Shad Salim Faruqi. He actually had a long list, a very long list of reforms, which could probably be the answer for what the minister has been asking. Because minister said, can someone give me what I need to do to reform? And actually, Professor Shad, long list, I also would like to request that long list from him. It was so very interesting. But he also shared with us, besides the list of findings, it shows the journey to reform national governance. It has a lot of hard work to be done, and of course, to make sure that the reports shall not be another report without any execution taken. Interestingly, Dr. Anis Yusal, he has agreed, despite he losing his voice, to share a very wonderful success story on what has the new Malaysia achieved. And Datuk concluded that we are focusing too much to grow our brain, but has forgotten about our hearts. So sometimes we leave our hearts behind while we take our brain along in our meeting. And Puan Latifah Koya, the Chief Commissioner of MACC, shared with us on enlightening journey of MACC over the last 50 years and the important role it plays to prevent corruption. The evolution of MACC is a very significant achievement of our nations to combat corruption. Mr. Premesh Chandran, he highlighted the progress on freedom of media and how the public can use the technology to facilitate input and participate directly in monitoring the country development and the power of media to drive changes by highlighting key issues to improve the public progress. Media now has great place in New Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, the last session, the most interesting session with YB Datuk Sri Muhammad Rizwan Yusof, Minister of Entrepreneurship, together with captains of industries, it encapsulated the very essence of governance and the diverse approach of achieving the highest standard of governance. Fundamentally good governance comes from the people with the right values. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have experienced today is part of great customer experience, which is one of the 6 blueprints that the bank has actually crafted. On Friday at 3:30, I had a visit by Datuk KSU, and she said, Datuk Chairman, there is a letter from the Prime Minister Department, and this is actually the 3rd of January where everybody is on holiday. And Datuk KSU said, Datuk Chairman, there is this letter, the Prime Minister is coming on 14th January to officiate what? To officiate the Integrity Forum. And we said Integrity Forum. I mean, immediately we were like, what do we do? But it was an honor, and we realized that is effectively 9 days and 5 working days. So what we did was we had an emergency meeting at 3:30, and we established a task force, in which case the whole task force, you are able to see the outcome today, basically didn't sleep the last 9 days. They were basically sleeping and eating integrity forums, because the organization of this forum has been a great challenge, from logistic, content development, the various offline, online productions. The speakers were on holiday. We have got to call them in New Zealand, some are in London, and they were all so very helpful. And I would like to thank the speakers for having supported the urgent request from the Bank Rakyat team. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the team led by Datuk Rosman, Fairoz Abdul Hamid, Zuhaini, Azhari, Zamal, Nazrul, Datuk Said, Shukri, and my strongest supporter, Zabiah Yusof. That's to name a few. They have helped to pull all this together, and importantly, we are glad that Bank Rakyat is able to do a part to support the government initiatives on further emphasizing on the importance of institutionalizing reforms towards the Vision 2030 shared prosperity for Malaysia to be a nation. I mentioned Zamal. Oh, Nizam, yes, Nizam. Nizam is actually the strongest amongst all. I'm actually leaving Nizam for last, because he's been the whole of last night he's been sleeping in his hall. But Nizam is our head of corporate communication and also corporate branding. Thank you, Nizam, and all in the team. So what we are doing today is not a conference or a panel that is like any ordinary panel. It's not a panel where we invite you, we listened, we go back to the office, and if we forget about it. So we are coming up with a formal resolution. Quite an amount of suggestion came out, especially from the TED Talk just now on governance gone wrong. And it is important that the views that was expressed here are disseminated to a wider readership and audience, and also goes to the right channel. So we will also share the insights of all the discussions and resolutions made today, both online and offline. And most importantly, we will also present this to the government and we will share with Putrajaya, because this is actually a national agenda when we talk about institutionalizing reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope the session today will be a great catalyst towards building a great new Malaysia. This is Bank Rakyat of tomorrow and Bank Rakyat of the future. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you very much.